Hello, my wild foals. EquestriSkye here, and welcome back to Birds. Well, sort of. As you can see, I'm in my Ostrich Fern skin at the moment. And yes, I am 3 blocks tall. However, this is not the Birds server. So I've had a few people ask me now, are you making more Birds videos? No, I'm not. This is it. This is gonna be the last one. I was hoping for that series to last much longer than it did, but it just didn't work out that way, and that's okay. There's many other both modded and vanilla SMP and solo adventures, A, that are already planned, or B, that will be coming in the future. However, I did promise you guys a lore video, and I wasn't able to deliver it for a plethora of reasons that I will get into in a bit here. But I worked really hard on preparing the lore, so I wanted to show you guys at least the general idea of what I had worked so hard on. So the reason that I wasn't able to do Fern's lore video is because I had to wait until I had all the materials in order to make, well, my initial planned starter house. But saplings were much harder to come by on the server than I had expected them to be, and I think most of us had expected them to be. So that took a lot longer than, well, I expected. But I was very excited for the lore itself. This was going to be where Fern had come from. It doesn't look like much, I know. But if you look, I put a lot of details into this entire area. I did a lot of terraforming. And I'm sure you notice a few smokestacks, right? Now if I go into fly, you can see, I mean, nothing else around here is done like this. So you can definitely tell this stands out. But there's a little path around this boab tree, or baobab, whatever it is. This unique tree, it's the only one like it out here. Very special path around it. It's very worn down, very arid. Some, like, tall grass or weeds, etc. And ostriches, they're pretty well known for, like, not making a home, not having a nest. And just being like, you know what? The outside world, the just open field, that's good enough for me. So it was really hard to come up with inspiration on what I was going to build as an ostrich. Especially a lush ostrich, when everywhere was too cold for me except for the desert, the mesa, and the savannah. Hence why I chose the savannah. But that's also what these are. These are nice little, like, either just sunbathing mats, you know, just little batches of straw and such that I'm sure we've collected over the time. But there's paths even into the tree. It was supposed to be like basically a sacred thing. I don't really know exactly. I didn't get quite that far. But these little smokestacks are houses. As you can see, they're very simple, very open. Just little holes in mounds of dirt with some bushes essentially falling over them, or draping over them. And that one was mine, which I will get into in just a minute here. You come over here, there's another path right here to yet another one. No, and they were lit up a little bit better, but every time I log out of this world, the glowstone bits that I use to light it up, they stop working. You can see some of them in the roof. So I have to redo them every time, and that's just kind of a nuisance. But you can see each of them have at least a basic area, so, you know, it's just... I tried to really channel the ostrich idea of it. Not an easy task. And this wraps all the way around. The path is slightly indented, you know, for the traffic, the foot traffic. But if I go over here, and as you can see, I do move faster. Even just walking, I move faster than normal. This is not, like, I don't officially have my ostrich origin on this world, but we did change some of the stats so that I'm essentially as close as I can get to it with commands. But with that being said, this was my house. Which basically, I had it as like a little study. And I got my little mat over here. I got some plants that I tried to take care of. And of course, a fern. Had to have a fern. And a little chair. But what my lore was essentially going to be was going to be my character talking to herself and how she can't do this anymore. You know, she needs to find a place that she's welcomed, or that she can at least find the lush oasis that she's looking for. And find home. Because here, she basically just got made fun of for being so in love with greenery, with lushness. Because, you know, around these parts, it's... I mean, there's a lot of grass, technically, grass, weeds. But it's very dry, very dead, overall. Right? And a couple more plants my character tried to grow. So I was going to be writing a note here, talking to myself about that. Have my little snack on a plate over here. And then take the book and place it over here. And leaving my little signature, a pot and a fern. This is essentially my goodbye note. And then it was going to cut to a scene where I would build what would be my starter house on the Birds server, but it would be the thing that I would travel in. And this would be what I was leaving home in. It's funky looking, yeah. But, in case you can't tell, it is a wagon. And it has lighting, it has some plants hanging on ledges, and, you know, just my character's attempt to have the life of plants with her. It's detailed and everything. And there is a way up there. This was going to be my storage. This was very detailed. I was trying to make it as best as I could in the little room I had to work in, especially considering how big I am. I mean, that's kind of big, you know? But I still feel like it turned out pretty well. You got a couple shelves, you know, you can use them as seats if you wanted, but, you know, lining each of the windows, a very nice bed, and plenty of storage to last us until we made a bigger thing. And this is why I wasn't able to make the lore video, because I needed this to tie into my actual BirdsSMP. And I didn't have the woods I needed for this build. I believe I was still missing one wood, one of these wood types, by the time I told you guys I was no longer making videos, no longer making birds videos. I put a lot of thought into that decision because I actually was really enjoying it. But I don't regret that decision either, though. I believe that was the right decision to make. And with this, the whole story was going to be, essentially, I would do that whole moment where I was in there talking to myself, writing my note, and then leaving the note on the tree with my plant, one of my plants, you know, just essentially signing it, at basically dusk. So a little earlier than now, or about now anyways, and you can see this whole area is pretty well lit up. Right? Like this is a town. This is our town. And I was going to leave that note, and I was going to come over here, and I was going to leave. However, before I got this built, I believe, I was going to go and supposedly talk with some bison. Some, like, smuggler bison who could help me get out, right? They would be the ones to haul my wagon for me. And essentially the idea was that I was gonna fall asleep on the trip. I'd be inside my wagon. So I'd be in here, I'd fall asleep on the trip, and wake up to a loud thud of essentially the bison putting the wagon down and leaving. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering how I was going to pay the smuggler bison, wheat. I was going to pay them with wheat. I didn't know what else to pay them with. But it was going to connect over on birds after I had this built, because I was going to be running out of my wagon, trying to catch them, and finding them already gone, and in a completely new location. And then using that, again, originally, to transition into other bits that I had with the other creators. For example, the bit where we met Marmalade and Hero and Animus J. That was going to be after I did this. This was going to be the introduction to the video. And then when that didn't work out, it was just going to be the lore video. And then again, that didn't work out. But I still worked really hard on this whole area. I spent hours terraforming this and making this what I wanted it to be, with the idea that I wanted it to be. And a lot of this is tall grass, because when you're 3 blocks tall, you can look over this. You can see over it like no problem. And most of these details obviously would go unrecognized, unnoticed, but there's rooted dirt, there's coarse dirt, there's normal dirt, there's this lush dirt, there's peat, and then, of course, little rocks and dead bushes, and just, there's all sorts of things that I put into this area, and it took a long, long time. This grass, by the way, is hand-placed. I ran around placing short grass, tall grass, these bushes, all over the place. Breaking the ones that I didn't like, adding the more to areas I felt like needed it. So this was all done by hand. And I grew a few of these trees specifically. I think like this one to kind of block the sightline. Yeah, some of these oak trees to block the sightline and to give it a little bit more variety in the trees, so it's not all just the acacia. This is another one that I grew. I was actually very happy with that one. There's another one. And then I was gonna obviously have this cleared out because this is the direction the thing's facing, but but I still feel like this area turned out pretty cool. And I'm still proud of it. It's dorky, maybe. It's a little funky, sure. But I was still proud of it. I was still really excited to see where it would go. And while this lore is no longer going to be implemented, basically, because the character is no longer, well, a thing, I'm still looking forward to doing this kind of thing again in the future with other lore-related videos or SMPs or etc. And if you're following on my current SMP J-World, which is pretty much just a vanilla 120 world, I'm going to be adding a bit of lore into those videos as well. It's not going to be nearly as lore heavy as Birds was, but there is going to be some area lore to it. And just some character. A little bit. Just to make it interesting for the areas and such that we're creating. As I mentioned earlier, there will not be any more BirdsSMP videos. This is pretty much just a wrapping up video, letting you guys know what the lore was going to be and showing you the work that I did put into it. And just making it much easier for everyone to find the answer that there isn't going to be any more BirdsSMP videos. But like I said earlier, there will be, and are currently, more adventures and more SMP related adventures in the future, and again, as of now. I'm also really looking forward to playing more modded related things in the future. If you were enjoying the BirdsSMP videos that I was making, then you're also going to enjoy the future adventures that we're going to have, both modded and vanilla. So A, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you know when those things happen. But B, go check out my latest J-World episode. J-World is a vanilla SMP, so if you enjoyed birds, go check out my latest episode of J-World, linked right here. And in the meantime, that's all the time I have for this episode. So, stay inquisitive, and I'll see y'all on our next adventure. This is the last from Ostrich Fern. Bye!